Ahead tonight, construction on government's multi-million-dollar Marine and Agricultural Institute on schedule.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the Chamber of Commerce shares their views on some national issues. We'll tell you all about it, so stay tuned.
A convicted murderer testifies on behalf of a rape-accused boyfriend. We'll tell you all about it coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Everyday.
A sector that's ripe with potential is getting the help it needs. Good evening, everyone. I'm Candino Knowles.
And I'm LaDawn Davis. Thanks for joining us. Government pumping millions into the agricultural sector as work on its signature project, the Bahamas Agricultural and Marine Institute, is progressing.
Well, the facility in North Andros is expected to open later this year, providing students with the necessary training to excel in the lucrative business of agriculture and mariculture.
Yesterday, the country's Deputy Prime Minister led a team of works officials and as well as BAIC executives on a tour of the site. Fern Carey was also there.
Agricultural and Marine Institute here in North Andros progressing steadily, with the work being completed on time and under budget ahead of the school opening in September. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Works Philip Davis, Agriculture Minister V. Alfred Gray, along with a team from the Ministry of Works and BAIC, toured the site last evening to get a first-hand look at the work in progress. Mr. Davis noted that construction on the multi-million-dollar agricultural school is 30% complete and the institute will open as planned in September.
This project in North Andros, right, is designed to be the catalyst for the future of the Bahamas, period. This is laying the foundation for diversifying our economy and ensuring that there will be other means of revenue for our Bahamian people, creating jobs, empowering Bahamians themselves to uplift themselves and to be able to provide for themselves.
Now, as anticipated, there have been some challenges. However, the Deputy Prime Minister says they are being addressed speedily.
There have been some sinkholes and holes in areas where we thought buildings could have been, so we had to move them around, and those challenges. The other challenges is the timeline on which the pressure under which we've put the chief architect and the other engineers to meet the deadlines, and sometimes there have been some hiccups there, but they all been worked out, and as you can see, the work's been progressing despite any of those challenges.
The government's signature project is poised to redevelop the agricultural sector while significantly reducing the country's dependence on foreign agricultural imports. It is also projected to help boost the economy by providing new jobs.
For a lot of North Andros, on this site, we have at least 22 separate Bahamian and Rosian contractors building these buildings that you would have seen through our tour, and you would have seen the number of persons they have employed. Already, I'm advised by the island administrator that the significance of this project here in North Andros is already paying dividends by the amount of funds that he's now returning to the capital.
Reporting from North Andros, I'm Fern Carey.
Well, labor leaders putting the government on notice for a 3-day sit-out soon that's expected to have the support of the majority of unions in the country. This as several unions continue to express dismay with the handling of labor issues that affect thousands of workers in the country. Speaking at a press conference this afternoon, Director of Communications for the Trade Union Congress, Fred Munnings, reiterated that while a date has not been set for the sit-out, there has been a general position taken by the majority of unions following the workers' rally held last week.
Once that meeting would have been held with all of the major unions of the country, the Trade Union Congress as well as the National Congress of Trade Unions, Mr. Ferguson and Mr. John Pinder are in discussions as we speak. The press will be informed, the country will be informed, the government will be informed that we are sick and tired, as we're telling you now. Don't worry about when the 3 days will be. They come in, and they come in sooner than later.
Meantime, the Labor Minister, the Honorable Shane Gibson, says he's been in meetings with labor leaders and was very encouraged, saying his team was making progress and zeroing in on those outstanding issues. He said those unionists were very angry and upset over the treatment some of the workers were receiving from the private sector who were not negotiating in good faith. The Labor Minister says dialogue is always good and he's all for keeping the channels open. He warns those employers who are not acting in good faith to take heed and to do the right thing. Presently, he said there are successful rounds of discussions with those union bosses who represent the government sector, and they're putting the proper mechanism in place to ensure that negotiations on outstanding agreements begin. He notes that his team has signed off on all outstanding agreements that they met unresolved prior to 2012, and they're now working on the customs and immigration contracts. Shifting gears now from the implementation of value-added tax to the legalization of web shops, executives of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce say they play a pivotal role in national policies.
They discussed matters today with our Janaea Noel Ferguson as they participated in elections for a new executive board.
Businessman Robert Myers now heads the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. Myers succeeds Chester Cooper, who gave his final address to members on Tuesday. As the country prepares to embrace tax reform, Cooper and Myers noted that the Chamber's role is vital on issues impacting businesses.
Business people are generally concerned that the dollar remains strong and it's not devalued. So we understand that tax reform needs to happen, and we look forward to the government continuing to lead with respect to tax reform.
Other areas that are critical is the enactment or the passing of the Freedom of Information Act. Energy reform is going to be a big one that affects businesses throughout the Bahamas. And fiscal reform, obviously wrapped into tax reform, are going to be critical.
And then there's the pending legislation of web shops and its impact on the business community. Cooper and Minister of Investment Kalis Roll says consultation with business owners continue.
I believe that if they're operating, they ought to be taxed. We believe that a part of a properly running economy and a properly running country is that we eliminate informal economies, we bring them into the mainstream, we regulate them, we tax them, and certainly we also support the empowerment of Bahamian enterprise.
In fact, some of the leading actors in the business community have said to us, go ahead and legalize it. I mean, they anticipate that the revenue coming from that will minimize the burden that they would have to carry. So we are pleased with the response that we've gotten from the business community.
The Chamber of Commerce has a division called the Coalition of Responsible Taxation. The group is preparing a report on alternative tax measures, which will be presented to government. Minister Roll stressed that the views from the business community will be heavily relied on going forward.
The Chamber understands the need for fiscal reform and by extension tax reform. And we're working very hard to ensure that both entities, government and the private sector, is on the same page.
Myers says that the Coalition for Tax Reform hopes to present that report to the government sometime next week. Janaea Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
And still to come, two appear in court today charged with murder.
One of the country's leading developments is progressing well. We have the details coming up.
Segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.